Marhaba, assalamu alaikum, and I'm afraid that's the only Turkish I know for now. So I'll start with e-commerce in MENA and what you need to know. Before I start, I believe that Istanbul is a historical city, and if we don't learn from history, we are doomed to fail. So let's go back to the region, and a short story about the region. So in general, the MENA region in the 70s basically had something that was more valuable than gold, which was oil. And every single company that was established in MENA was either directly or indirectly trying to serve this industry. So if you were a digital company that went into the MENA region in the 70s, well, basically what would have happened is nobody would have supported you. But something started to happen 2014. The oil prices started to come down, and the leaders initially did not take any incentive to change that. But recently, as we know, there's been a lot of investments that has happened. And the prime reason, or the single most biggest reason that these investments were happening is because data, as you all know it, is the new oil. Now, data, like oil, is unrefined. It turns into different products like digital, e-commerce, and other parts of the stuff. I'll quickly introduce myself, and then I'll go to the simple parts of my presentation. I work as Vice General Manager and Head of Technology at a company called Bargo Ventures. Bargo Ventures is a venture capital company that invests in the food service industry. Equip.com was, for the last 2 years, awarded the best B2B e-commerce website in the region, which is basically one of the companies that we've invested in. There's a whole other lot of businesses that we invested in as well. So starting off, the size of the market, again, I think some of my colleagues also shared this earlier. It's basically, there's the biggest, population-wise, the biggest region is Egypt, with almost 89 million people, and then you have Saudi and other countries following. But the real thing is, who has the most para, right? Where's the real money? So the biggest in terms of GDP is Saudi, then you have UAE, and then the others follow. Internet penetration, as you all know, it's more than 60–70%. People have started to use internet more than before. Social media in the region, again, one of the biggest sellers and one of the biggest ways that e-commerce businesses thrive is, again, the same as Turkey. I was looking at how the stats are in Turkey: Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. That's the different kind of stuff people use. I'll move to the next one. Okay, e-commerce, again, at this point, it's a 6.9 billion market. Top buying categories, guest ranges all the way, tickets, airlines, clothing, electronics. Again, all the same stuff that you have here. Payment methods, cash on delivery, credit card. If that is what you have, you're basically good to go like other places in the world. But this is what I wanted to come to. This is the single unprecedented growth in any of the regions all over the world, right? It's a $6.9 billion market right now, but it's going to be almost valued to 69 billion US dollars, which is a huge opportunity because what it allows you to do, it's not a 50% growth or 100% growth, it's a 1,000% growth in the region. And we've seen this by the biggest players in the region. Souk.com last year got acquired by Amazon for a $1 billion US acquisition, which kind of tells you that if our friends in the Northern America are taking interest in the region, that tells you that there's a lot of potential in the region. Noon.com, the second biggest, it's formed by Emaar Group. Emaar Group is the same company that owns the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. So, and the second 500 million basically came from the Saudi Public Investment Fund. Again, a $1 billion startup, right? Wadi, Jolly Sheikh, those guys are here as well. Again, one of the biggest players in the region for B2C. B2B, it's kind of an empty space right now, but B2B, interestingly, is going to grow into a $7 trillion market, trillion, and that's trillion with a T, by 2020 all over the world. There's only a few players who get B2B correctly, especially in the world of e-commerce. In the region, it's Alibaba, Equip.com also is there, Dubai Machines, Yalan Asadr, and there's different other companies. But again, a big opportunity in this landscape. Moving to the next one, payment gateways, biggest players. You have, if that's what you want to set up, get a local payment partner. That's what I try to always recommend. PayForward, PayTabs, HyperPay, Teller. Those are the guys you want to talk to if you want to get localized payment and accept payments. And that's really the way to go forward. Shipping companies, I'm sure you guys know most of them. The interesting one here is Fetcher, because Fetcher is a company that ships not to your address, but to your mobile phone. So basically, whatever GPS location you put on your phone, that's where your shipment and delivery goes ahead to. So with all of this overwhelming information, I'm a Turkish business owner, I have a small business, and let's say Taksim Square or somewhere. Where do I really start? What is the first thing I do to basically go into the market, enter, and start my business, right? I'm a guy who believes in keeping things simple. So I believe that whenever you start a business, which is either an e-commerce business or a general business, always start with why. There's a great book by Simon Sinek. It's called Start With Why. And he discusses something very beautiful, which is like most of the companies know what they do. For example, it's a Turkish Airlines. Turkish Airlines is a company that sells air tickets, right? Some of them know how they do it. So they sell it through online, they sell it through the travel agents in different places. But very few companies know why they do something. And that's really what differentiates the outliers from the other companies. Like, for example, Apple. If you go to Apple, they don't say that they sell you Apple iPhones, right? They tell you that they sell you something that is kind of a lifestyle. So start with core values. I think Istanbul is the capital of world business. You guys probably understand how business works better than any other country in the world. You guys are the connection between Europe, Asia, and Africa. Use those core values, and that's what you really build the company on. Companies are not built on technology. Companies are built by people, and those people use technology as a tool to grow the business. Second thing, branding. If you're going to go into the region, you need to look, you need to sound, people over there need to feel this is somebody who's local. So I always believe in centralizing every department that is core to the business. For example, customer service. Customer service is your front face of the business. Always have it centralized, have a local team there. Other departments, like let's say finance, category, other departments that are not core to the business can be done possibly from an offshore office or other things, but again, centralize everything that is core to the business. Moving to the other parts of it. E-commerce basically was formed to remove friction. Why did e-commerce even exist? Because current retailers were unable to provide the customer experience or the ease of use to do it. In the Middle East region, especially in Saudi Arabia, 70% of the population is millennial. So that means those guys are between 25 to 35 years old, right? They use Facebook, they use Netflix, they use Snapchat. They're used to a different kind of way of living, right? It's not the same old generation. It's a new kind of generation. And the less the friction you will bring to the process, the easier it is to place the order, easier it is to check out. That's going to bring you the real core of the businesses. So really, the old process of invoice, quotation, purchase order, it's something that I feel will very soon get outdated. So if you're trying to enter that market, you need to come with a fresh mindset. Okay, what drives your customer? In an e-commerce business, and this is, I guess, universal, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, America, everywhere else. Content is what really drives e-commerce businesses. There's only a limited number of transactions you can get by, talking to people. When you produce content that the customer understands, that is valuable to the customer, that is what really drives the sale. So I wanted to take this opportunity to share kind of our funnel. You can use this in your mode of business and try to really get how the e-commerce structure works. So basically, this is a B2B advertising funnel. It all starts with awareness. When you want to have a way for customers to know you, you're not going to go and say, buy an iPhone or buy a Samsung phone from me, right? You kind of create content that drives and creates value for the customer. So for our business, what we do is we sell restaurant, cafe equipment. So everything you see in a coffee shop, a fine dining place, we sell those equipment online. So what we do is we create some, like crazy content working with our vendors. This is a company based out of US, one of the products we sell. If you go to YouTube and you type Bullet Blend, these guys blend iPhones, iPads, just to drive that, crazy kind of content and see who's got the most interest, right? Once you do that, and once you know people who have clicked on those links, you use something called retargeting. Now, Facebook, Instagram, every other platform, Google basically allows you to have that retargeting content. And what we basically do is if you visit the espresso grinders page on our website, you go to Facebook, you're going to start seeing our ads. You go to Google Ad Networks, you're going to start seeing our ads. So what it does is it actually reminds the customer, or it reminds the person who's browsing the website that we exist, we are there in the funnel, right? And then finally, it goes off to the sales, and you basically have a checkout. So last slide, I'm going to talk a little bit about the future. We hear all of these buzzwords: AI, big data, analytics, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things. I think the real value is when you can see business value out of those things. It's great words to have in your organization. You know, I'm a data scientist. I do this. I do this. I do this. But when it comes to like the real value, what does business get out of it? It's a lot of people are unable to answer those questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just tell you some examples of how we use those buzzwords, and maybe you can use it in your industry, whether in the region or any place else in the world. Big data. One of the biggest challenges, and a lot of people don't understand this, is not the technology part of the business, but the supply chain and other parts of the business. Those are really key structures to a business. With e-commerce, it's very, very unpredictable to know what the stock levels are. If you have like a somewhat successful e-commerce business, then it's really hard to know. For example, you will have months when a product doesn't sell at all, and you'll have one month when you completely run out of shelf, and you're bringing more, you bring in more, and then there's a lot of it, right? So what big data allows you to do is to take basically those trends, and we basically used it in our company as well. We took all of the forecasting. You know, there's a simple formula to calculate how much the demand is. But what we did, and in the world of e-commerce, is you have some new factors coming in, like the page views on the site, how many times the product was added to the cart, how many times, for example, was the product detail page viewed. You take all of this information, all of this big data information, and then you process it to get the right amount of inventory level. And again, if you do this right, there's some great tools. I can share it with you later. If you do this right, you can really get it to the dot. Second thing, Internet of Things. A lot of products today, and especially in the B2B landscape, come with some kind of remote management software into them. We usually sell cold rooms. Cold rooms are like fridges, and we install it on the customer side. What we did was a quick experiment of installing a small Raspberry Pi into the thing, and what we were able to do as a result of that is basically we were able to go to the customer even before he found out there was a problem in the machine. So it kind of helps you, get that extra value, get that differentiating factor with the customer. Finally, artificial intelligence is, again, one of the key things that we do out of it is using personalization. Similar to Netflix. If you go to Netflix, Netflix tries to learn what your taste is, and we try to do the same on our website. What we do is if you go to the site, based on your browsing history, let's say if you're somebody who's interested in a coffee shop, based on the products you're seeing, we can learn that, and then the whole website kind of changes into that way that it looks like a coffee shop to you, right? So it's basically using machine learning to learn. Again, I'll stress on the fact it's going to be a huge market by 2020. The right time, all of the investors are coming in. The right time to invest and really grow your business to another level is right now. We've seen the government is investing. We've seen companies like Amazon from North America investing in the business. So if you're a business who's thinking about to grow into the Middle East, the time is right now. Thank you.